Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remus.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Andrew Paterson, soon to be joined by Hrabchak. We got a busy, fun show today with you. Bombers preparing for the Edmonton Elks on Friday night. Huge game in the West, especially for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We'll hear a little bit from the coordinators, Tommy Condell and Jordan Younger, as the Bombers, I believe, have a closed practice today. Tomorrow will be a travel day and walkthrough, and Friday night it is go time. Friday will actually be a really fun show to get ready for the game. Hammer will be back on the program. Of course, CFL 110 is up live from yesterday. Check it out if you haven't already. Leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure to check out the podcast. And we'll also have Eddie Tate join us to tee up the game from Edmonton on Friday. So we'll have lots of Bomber content coming in, but we'll hear from the coordinators coming up in just a bit. For our weekly Travel Manitoba segment, we're going to get you ready for the Manitoba Open. You know, the Open over the last few years, with it being part of PGA Tour Americas, has really given some of the, Manitoba golf fans chances to see some of the best upcoming players. I mean, Michael Brennan just won a couple weeks ago on tour. He was here playing last year at Breezy on PGA Tour Americas. We had Johnny Kiefer a couple years ago. He's still playing in the FedEx Cup playoffs right now. It really is. If you are a golf fan, the Manitoba Open is something that you're going to want to get out to at Elmhurst this week. And we're going to connect with Dave McMillan to not only find out about the tournament, the Manitobans in the event, but also everything you need to know going there as a spectator, as well as maybe some fun things to hit or do before or after you get out to Elmhurst. So we'll have that coming up. Then Brandon Rewucki's jumping on the program. Always great to catch up with Brandon. We'll hit a couple of off-season hockey topics and maybe even get his thoughts on the upcoming NFL season. Then we're going to talk Jays. Josh Goldberg is planned to return to the program. He was doing some TSN work this afternoon, but he's going to jump on. Well, get into this with Connor right away. What a win last night, starting off the series at the Trop in Tampa for the Blue Jays. And the excitement behind this push right now, I think, is really growing. Max Scherzer starts tonight for the Jays in their game 2 of this series before they move on to New York to finish up this meat grinder of 2 weeks. So we'll get to some Jays and then a little more golf talk and more, and we'll set up tomorrow's 10 a.m. live edition of WST Winners, our NFL preview with our picks and best bets from all the futures options at Cool Bets, including our favorite win totals, over-under, division winners, awards, and so much more. So book that in 10 a.m. if you're able to join us live afterwards on the podcast feed. A lot of NFL talk. I just did my first fantasy auction last night. Went very well. Got a snake draft tonight. Trying to get a few of these down before I'm away in a couple weeks for a bit. But packed show today. Great to have you all with us. Shout out to you podcast listeners making us a part of your day. And, of course, everybody with us in chat. Great to see you all. Hit that thumbs up button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And a huge thanks to all the sponsors that make the show happen each and every day. Of course, our partners at CoolBet Canada. Don't forget your picks for the free CFL Pick'em, everybody. Kickoff tomorrow in the CFL is tomorrow night. So you got just over 24 hours to get those in. Of course, our great partners at Princess Auto. Chud's Power Sports. We'll have our CFL Power Poll coming up for Chud's on today's show. Also, Clean Line, Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. Manitoba Battery, Boston Pizza, Aikens Lake, Breezy Bend, Royal Sports, Little Brown Jug, Travel Manitoba, the Winnipeg Goldeyes, and Assiniboia Downs, the newly reopened Santa Lucia on Main Street. Shout out to Roberto and his staff. Great to see after all that work from the fire a couple years ago that they're back in action, serving the wonderful people of West Kildonan, Rolly's transfer, Dr. Terry and the people at St. Patel Dental Center, and we will get to a why not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Connor, get in here. What's going on, my friend?
I'm doing well, Huss. It was a great night for baseball yesterday. I've got my Jays hat on. We'll obviously get to that off the top. But how about the Fish opening up their series with a win? And I was looking through the stats that they posted for the game. Noah Marcello, 5 for 6 with 2 homers and 2 doubles for the Fish last night in a 9-6 win. So that's
sounds like PCA.
Yeah, that's a legacy game for Mr. Marcello there. So nicely done for the Fish opening up their series on the road with a 9-6 win. And obviously the Jays, I mean, they're at the Trop. Like, they never play well in Tampa Bay. I wasn't expecting much, but that was actually shockingly a pretty fun watch last night as they put up 10 runs.
Dude, that was unbelievable. As I told you, I'm a WNBA guy now. It was a big one last night in Toronto.
Right.
I did have the draft, but I set up with a couple TVs at the beginning, watched the first half of the Fever and the Tempo, watched the Blue Jays. I couldn't believe the start for the Jays, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, you get up, it's 2-0, it's far nothing. Oh my God, it's 6-0. And then, they had that little wobble in the fourth inning. Soriano has the wild pitch, a run scores, and then kind of a bloop single. It wasn't like they got a lot of wood on it, but it popped in. 2 more runs score, and you're thinking, okay, it's 6-3. Here come the Rays. Went back to WNBA, and the next thing when it happens, I look over and Okamoto's putting on the jacket again. The bats are going, and I don't know, coincidence or not, that the bats are going more without innings going to die. I can't believe I'm saying this off the bat of Vlad Guerrero Jr., who is out on the 7-day right now.
Which is just crazy. I mean, all year long, we've been talking about how if Vladdy was clicking, the Jays would have already been like well into a playoff spot at this point. He's been in the middle of the order, the top of the order, batting third, batting second, and he's just been powerless really all year long. And yeah, he's out now. And shout out to Alejandro Kirk, who had a great game last night. He is red hot since the All-Star break. I saw Josh Goldberg post some of his numbers, and Goldberg is coming on the show today, so I can't wait to hear about that. But I thought the devil's magic of the Tampa Bay Rays was coming through. I don't know if people were like super locked into the Jays game last night, but in the middle of that inning where the Rays put up 3 runs, Soriano's getting ready to pitch. It's a big pitch, and then the lights cut out. And then he goes, and then he throws the wild pitch, and I'm like, here we go. Like, this is Tampa Bay. The lights are going out. Weird crap is happening. They're hitting bloop signals, wild pitches. I'm like, this, I thought they were going to lose when they made it 6-3. But credit to the Jays. They bounced right back and scored 2 runs in consecutive innings going forward. And yeah, Okamoto with a bomb, Alejandro Kirk playing well. Brett Bateman, trade deadline acquisition, has been so much fun to watch. Scrappy baseball player. He's super fast, great defender in center field. So this team is fun to watch again. And it's really filling the gap on these summer weeknights where there isn't much sports or aren't many sports on right now.
I see Patty's in chat already. It's just a building. Don't be afraid of the Trop. And then, yes, mentioning Mr. WNBA. How about that? My debut, I put together, it was the 3-legger. We needed, first of all, the Tempo plus 10.5. That did not look good early on. Like Caitlin Clark and the Fever were scoring at ease. I think they had 33 in the first quarter. But we needed the Tempo plus 10.5. We needed Sophie Cunningham over 1.5 3-pointers and Mabry to get 20 or more points. And I'll be honest, I popped like I was at SummerSlam when Mabry hit a 3-pointer from just inside center with about a minute or so remaining to get to 22 and pull the Tempo within 4 of the Fever. It all came together. I am career now 1 for 1 in a WNBA, same gamers. So we'll definitely do that again, probably for a Fever game, because that's who we see on TV the most. So we'll make it happen. But definitely a fun night last night. By the way, just while we're talking Blue Jays, and a quick plug on CoolBet before Pat comes in, Connor and I both jumped on it. If you go into MLB futures, there is a line plus 325 on Blue Jays to make the playoffs. And it's up there right now. I guess it didn't change much because the other teams in the race won. But I'll tell you what, I'm feeling even better about that pick, Connor, today, knowing what they did starting off that gauntlet of a week against the Tampa Bay Rays. And tell you what, I think the Jays are live. But one thing I do know for sure, you and I and anyone else that's going to be riding with the Jays to make the playoffs bet, I think we are in for a really fun 5 or 6 weeks right down to game 162.
And I think they can do it too, right? Like they've been the best team. You look at all the teams kind of fighting for that third wildcard spot, and it's, the Twins who won last night, the Rangers won last night, but you look at the last 10 for all of those teams, the Jays are 7-3 in their last 10. No other team has more than 5 wins in their last 10 games. And you talk about the Jays winning last night and a lot of the teams around them also winning. Huss, you know who didn't win last night? The Seattle Mariners. Remo's not here. Remo's not here today, but 22-0 in Milwaukee. That's a tough bounce for sure for those folks in Seattle. And I don't know if you saw the clip of Julio Rodriguez in center field, catches it for the second out of the inning, and he thinks it's a third out, so he tosses the ball into the crowd like it's the final out of the inning, and he's walking back to the dugout, and then the next camera shot on him is just 2 hands on his head, as that's, I believe, a ground rule double, and scores multiple players on that. But holy crap, 22-0. I was shocked to see that.
Was absolutely ridiculous. The Brewers set a record, I believe a modern record, for the biggest blowout in a shutout. 22-0 on 22 hits. The Mariners, 0 runs on 5 hits and 4 errors.
How about this, Huss? The Seattle Seahawks gave up fewer than 22 points in 17 of their 21 games last year.
Oh, that's so good. The poor Lou Rivas. And I guess that's when J-Rod did the infamous, is the bidding over?
Yeah.
No, listen, I'll give him I'll cut him a little bit of slack. When you're in the outfield and you're down 16 or 17-0 and your backup third baseman is pitching, first of all, the inning took about an hour because they scored 9 runs and batted through.
Yeah.
But if there was ever a time to maybe lose track of outs, that would be it. So I'm giving J-Rod a yellow card for not knowing how many outs they were. And it was just a little bit more of the comedy. And you know what? Maybe it did Rivas a bit of a favor, because only 7 of the 9 runs he gave up were earned runs.
Yeah, true. I like that yellow card right there. I think, the inning probably took forever. You're down by 1 million runs. This game is so over, and he clearly lost track of it. But it's just a funny clip seeing him toss the ball into the crowd like that. I mean, it's weird that it maybe doesn't happen more often. These baseball players are playing 162 games over the course of 5 months, and every once in a while they just lose track of how many outs there are in the inning. I mean, we just saw the puzzling thing with the Jays a couple days ago, a week ago or so, with the Red Sox and the whole timing play, 4th out, where the scoreboard showed 2 outs, but there was only 1. So many weird things can happen in baseball, and that was one of them on full display in a blowout, forgetting how many outs there are.
Now, just back to the Gold Eyes for a minute. With their win last night, they have now won the 2 in a row after getting kind of worked at the park on Saturday night. They are a half game back of Kansas City, who won last night, but they've got 2.5 games clear on Fargo Moorhead right now, 5.5 on Sioux Falls, who they have just beat up on over the last couple of weeks. I think that's 4 straight sweep here. Opening game of the series yesterday, and they'll be back at it tonight before coming back for another big week at the ballpark next week downtown at Blue Cross Park. But Connor, it's all business for the Blue Bombers right now. Practicing, closed practice today. We'll hear from the coordinators in just a minute. A lot of work to be done. And listen, think back to when we were at the game together, sitting together for that Edmonton game in Winnipeg about a month ago or so. And, I've talked about this before, and, when we're talking about the coaching and the coordinators and all that the Bombers at times this year have really not looked ready to go and not prepared for the start of the game. We've had some terrible early offensive possessions, and we've seen the defense get absolutely worked as well. And I'm not sure there was a better example of that than the start of that game against the Elks, which also featured, multiple fumbles that were turned over. I mean, no ball security. And it was the huge hole that they put themselves in that they were somehow able to get out of in the second half before Cody Fajardo acted like a Montreal Grey Cup Cody Fajardo and went down and broke the hearts at the end. So they ended up playing that team very well, or very close. But I mean, it was such an incomplete game. And I'm going to be looking at the first few drives, the first quarter, to see if the Winnipeg Blue Bombers can come out in a far different manner than they did previously against Edmonton and some other games, because they're going to need to be at a very high level for a full 60 minutes if they're going to go into Commonwealth and get a win on Friday night.
Yeah, totally. And you look at that game, Huss. I remember sitting with you and the fumbles. Brady Oliveira, I still haven't seen him ever get hit as hard as he did when he fumbled that ball early in that game. Dante Daniels had a fumble as well in not a great spot for the Bombers as he was trying to hurdle. And having said all that, the Bombers were winning 18-17. And the Elks needed a game-winning drive to win the game. Like, having that poor of a start and still winning that late in the game was quite interesting. Cody Fajardo did, with 53 seconds left, throw for a touchdown, and the Bombers end up losing that game. But they did play them tight. The Elks have been pretty up and down since. They got waxed by Montreal, but who doesn't these days? And then they just are coming off a game where they had 42 points at home against the Toronto Argonauts and forced 6 turnovers for that Argos offense. So the Bombers will have to play clean football. The Elks forced a ton of turnovers last game. So that's going to be something that's front of mind. And Tommy Condell talked about that. It'll also be interesting to see, Huss. I mean, I know we all expect Brady Oliveira to play, like he could not practice all week and be a game time decision, and we'd still say, yeah, he's probably going to be out there. Their practice yesterday, the Blue Bombers, Brady Oliveira didn't practice with an ankle injury. Nick Dembski didn't practice with an ankle injury. Tui Eli didn't practice with an ankle. But Stanley Bryant did return to practice and practiced in full. So we'll have to monitor Brady Oliveira and Nick Dembski and Tui Eli on the offensive line as well to see if the Bombers will have their full complement of players on offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think much like last week, it'll take Brady's leg to fall off to not play.
For sure.
But the offense overall needs to continue to take steps forward, and there's a lot of room to go. Let's hear from Tommy Condell. We sort of referenced that first game against Edmonton. Tommy was asked about, that very tight loss that started off in such an ugly fashion in the first half. Here's Condell on the previous head-to-head matchup between the Elks and Bombers.
We need to be able to execute that.
I've seen a lot of
one. It was
that's not Tommy. That's not Tommy.
No, hold on. Give me a second.
We need to.
Nope.
That's JY.
Yeah. Here we go.
We need to be able to execute better. I think the first one it was game 3, so we got a chance to learn a lot of the things that we didn't do properly. And this has been a season that we just have to stack some bricks, and build the correct house per se.
The first game, Zach mentioned yesterday, the 3 fumbles really jumped out to him. Is that what sticks in your mind too?
Well, anytime we fumble, but I honestly remember those are the ones that we didn't get. We had too many fumbles during that game, and they've done a great job defensively. I think the coaches do a great job over there in Edmonton to be able to do that and hawk the ball. So we're well aware of that. We've been so intentional in regards to that, not only in out here in practice, but in walkthrough meetings, all that kind of stuff, because we know that if we protect the football and we're able to have explosive plays, we're going to have a real high chance of victory.
Yeah, and listen, before we even get to the defense, Connor, I mean, I'll tell you right now, if the Bombers are on the wrong end of the turnover ratio in this one, it's going to be very hard to pull it out. And you'll hope you'll be able to get some on defense, but taking care of the football and being a hell of a lot cleaner is going to be number 1 on the priority list from the Tommy Condell offense.
And he talked about it right there, that last game, the fumbles did really sink them early because they were moving the ball. I mean, that Brady Oliveira fumble was inside Edmonton's 30. And, how does that game look different if Brady Oliveira doesn't fumble that ball or Dante Daniels doesn't fumble in Bombers territory early on? We know they were winning late, but they definitely could have had a bigger lead or not had to have come back by as much as they did in that game. And you look at that game as well, Zach Collaros played well in that game. The offense really moved the ball. I mean, Brady Oliveira had 13 carries for 77 yards. Zach Collaros completed over 70% of his passes for 2 touchdowns and no picks. So he played clean football. The fumbles definitely did not help. Nick Dembski had 6 catches for 92 yards. He had a great game. But the Bombers defense as well. I mean, Justin Rankin, he started out the game red hot. He ended up with 100 rushing yards. He seems to be pretty up and down so far this season, where those first 4 weeks when Rankin was coming into Winnipeg in week 4, people were ready to hand him the MOP. He was as red hot as anyone else in the Canadian Football League. So can the Bombers contain that a little bit more? And you got guys like Julian Grant and Austin Mack, some weapons on that offense too. So tall task going on the road against Edmonton, which going on the road against Edmonton hasn't been a tough game on the Bombers schedule for years, Huss, but it is this year for sure.
Oh, listen, I mean, the Bombers have owned this team for a decade, basically. Yeah. Or maybe 8-9 years. And now, I mean, they're back and they're in first place right now. And this is a huge thing. Listen, the offense will go as far as Zach Collaros takes them. They got to keep him upright and not the way we saw him on Friday. Here's Tommy Condell on what they need to do to protect Zach Collaros better.
Well, I think it's always a team thing. It's never one guy. Zach's always going to take accountability and stuff like he should, like any leader should. So, the biggest thing, it's not just that. It's not from the naked eye and just seeing pressure. It's not just the offensive line. It's not just that. It's the receivers getting separation. It's the tailbacks making sure we're on the same page. It's the quarterback understanding where the weaknesses in the defensive structure is in the protection areas. So it's not just one guy. You might just see the outcome like we talk about, but to the other things, there's a lot of things that go into it where all of a sudden maybe the receiver didn't get to his depth, or hey, all of a sudden we didn't have the right call up front, or it was just an individual mistake.
All right, there is Bomber OC Tommy Condell. Keep Zach upright, take care of the football, give yourselves a chance to win the football game. On the other side of the field, it's the Jordan Younger defense, and there's been some moments of good, and there's also been some ugly moments so far. JY was asked to give his thoughts on the Bomber defense at the midway point of the season through 9 games.
Again, this is like mixed bag, right? Because some of the challenges we're dealing with are injury based, right? Not having all of your pieces, right? So some people have made significant progress, even though it doesn't necessarily show up in the stat column, right? Some people are significantly better than they were earlier in the year, and that's due to the fact that they've gotten more snaps. All in all, I don't think we're where we want to be, right? We want to be better. We want to be able to control games on the defensive side of the ball, regardless of what happens in the other 2 phases. And that's a very, very high standard, but that's what we want to be at.
So a bit of a mixed bag at this point for the Bomber defense. We know, Connor, you just mentioned they're going to need to be a heck of a lot better and be on the if Justin Rankin is going to be on the feast famine program, let it be a famine, because if he's feasting on the Bombers, it will make it for a long, long time. But I mean, pretty much said it the way it is. It has been a mixed bag. I mean, they've been good at times. There's also been some crazy breakdowns, even in the game on Friday against the Ottawa Redblacks.
Yeah, certainly. And you talk about this feast-famine nature of Justin Rankin. He's coming off a week where he had 16 carries for 47 yards against the Toronto Argonauts. Edmonton was dealing with a lot of short fields with all of those turnovers from Toronto. But certainly, I mean, Cody Fajardo, over 300 yards passing and a touchdown, and completed 80% of his passes. Like, whether it's Rankin, whether it's Fajardo's operating the offense at a very high level. We know if anyone in the CFL can motivate themselves that nobody believes in them, it's Cody Fajardo, and he's been doing that so far this year. And Justin Rankin, again, under 3 yards per carry last week against Toronto. So the Bombers will have to watch that tape and see what Toronto did to limit the running game a little bit, because if the Bombers' run defense, we've seen it at its absolute lowest this year, if that rears its ugly head again, this could be a long day for the Bombers on Friday night if Justin Rankin gets going, because he's one of the most explosive players in the CFL, no doubt.
One more from JY. We know and certainly hope that there's another level for this defense to get to. He was asked on how much better he thinks that this unit can be looking ahead to the next 9 games of the regular season.
I've seen a lot of, like, in all my time in the CFL, for every team, like, something clicks each year, one way or the other, right? Where things click in your favor and the momentum starts rolling. some things can work against your favor and the snowball starts falling downhill, right? Like, I think we're trending in the way in the direction we want to, right? Now we just got to go out and, again, try to prove it and stack those, those solid performances in consecutive games.
So there you have it. And listen, I appreciate the optimism and the positivity coming off a win. I think you need to have that headspace, but it's what he said there at the end. They need to stack strong performances, one on top of the other. And I'm here to tell you, Connor, looking at the schedule for the next month, if this Bomber defense doesn't stack those performances the way JY just laid out, it is going to be very difficult to win football games.
Yeah, no kidding. Edmonton, Montreal, Saskatchewan, the next 4 games for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Let me ask you this, Huss. The Bombers are underdogs in this game. I haven't seen if the line has moved. It was 5.5 last time I looked. Would you take sort of a moral victory on Friday night against Edmonton, where the Bombers play well, but they lose because Edmonton is a really good team? They're number 1 in the West, maybe on a walk-off field goal or something like that. But the Bombers prove that they can hang with a team like Edmonton, because these last couple of weeks haven't been, they don't win. And obviously, if I asked you, do you want the Blue Bombers to win? It's an obvious yes. So, would you take a close game?
Answer your question. I think the answer is no.
No.
And
okay.
Maybe I have higher hopes and expectations. I think we all know that this team can be better than that they've shown. But the reason why I say no on that is that we've seen.
Oh, no, you're good. I think you're good. Keep talking.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear
sorry.
you.
We've seen these two teams play before. Yeah, I knocked the cord out of my mic. I was getting fired up about that Edmonton game that we were at. We've seen these two teams play here in Winnipeg. And, when you look back at how that game started, how they came out, which I thought was, not even close to the level that they needed to be, how careless they were with the football and everything that happened. And they still lost by a very short margin, with Cody Fajardo coming back and getting the points they needed to at the end of the game. Like, they've already played a really tight game with this team. We need more from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They need more from both sides of the football. And if they do that, if they play a great game and lose a tight one, I think I'll maybe feel a bit better about it. But I don't know whether there's any moral victories right now when you look at the way the West is shaping up. They're 5-4. I think very fortunate to be there. They now need to be going and taking it back from some of these other teams. So
I like it.
Would I rather than be competitive and lose than get blown out and have to talk about it all week next week? Absolutely. But I do think that, this team is capable of a lot more than we've seen so far. And if they can put together a complete effort on both sides of the ball and not do some of the things that have been killing them, I don't see them in a position where they can't go into Edmonton and win a football game.
Part of the reason I ask that is because I put out a tweet before the Bombers started this 5-game segment, starting with Ottawa, ending with the Banjo Bowl. And I had a few responses that said if the Bombers go 2-3, but their losses are close and all 3 phases you can tell are right there to maybe winning those games, they'd take that. And I felt like that was a common sentiment amongst the fan base, where obviously you want the Bombers to go 5-0. Like, that's not a question. If they could win every single game, that would be incredible. But in the losses, and they're going to lose one of these next 4 games, I'd almost guarantee it. Can they keep it close? Can they play competitive? Can they play up to their opponent like a team on the road, Edmonton, who's coming off a 30-point victory against Toronto? Like, if they can keep this game close, I feel a lot better going forward about the Bombers than if they look like Toronto did last week and they lose by 30, for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. And listen, you gave me that question, and it was like, okay, 5 games. Would you take 2-3 if you win at home against Ottawa and you win the Banjo Bowl? And I think I said yes at that time, because I think that 6-7, you're still very much alive. Now that you got that win, to me, more, it's just about seeing more from this team. They've been disappointing, I think, on both sides of the football in most of the games that they played compared to, listen, we've been spoiled. I get it. But when you're a great team that has done what Winnipeg has done, the level of expectation is here. And, I think they still have a long, long ways to go. This would be a great opportunity to remind some people that this Winnipeg Blue Bombers still have a lot of juice left in the tank. And as I say, Commonwealth's going to be ready for it. I mean, that big win last week, the crowd's getting better and better by the game. I know there's a big push on in Edmonton to get more asses in seats. Seen some of the players really leaning on social media doing that, and the fans have been responding. So I can't wait for it. It's an 8:30 start on Friday night. Not like West Coast time, but kind of nice.
Pretty close.
You can find your night around it. Maybe
Yeah.
do dinner beforehand. We'll have plenty on the Bombers and the Canadian Football League in the next couple of days. But Brandon's coming up. We're going to talk some more Jays with Josh Goldberg. But coming up next, we've got our Travel Manitoba segment. Everything you need to know about the Manitoba Open, which tees off tomorrow at Elmhurst. We'll have that as WST continues. Hockey season's just around the corner, and that means we'll be getting back to the Winnipeg Jet lines for Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. Clean Line is your residential and commercial plumbing experts in Winnipeg, along with heating and electrical services, and have been Winnipeg's most trusted plumbers for over 40 years, with fast responses, lasting results, and 24/7 emergency services across all of Winnipeg. Just like Adam Lowry has the backs of his teammates, Clean Line has yours. Mark the number down, 204-500-2001 for 24/7 emergency service when you need it most. You can also check out more on all Clean Line services and make an appointment online at cleanline.ca. Big congratulations to Roberto and our friends out at the Santa Lucia on Main Street who battled back from the last 2 years working to overcome a fire and just had a wonderful grand opening on the weekend. Popped out and saw a lot of happy people in the West K area to have their Santa Lucia back. If you have not been there, certainly suggest to try it out. They've got amazing happy hour specials, promos throughout the week, and obviously all your favorites from Santa Lucia. So all of you out in West K or that go up and down Main Street, 1473 Main, Santa Lucia is back open. It was a great grand opening on the weekend, but now it is business as usual. Pop by and see him today at Santa Lucia on Main Street. And congratulations to Roberto and the staff on getting back open for the people of Winnipeg. Hey, got to thank our friends at Manitoba Battery. Big Bomber game coming up on Friday night. And, of course, Manitoba Battery. Hopefully we can get a couple new batteries in that Bomber offense and defense after last week's game. Of course, Manitoba Battery, proud sponsor of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, powering the Bombers this season. And, of course, Winnipeg Sports Talk. Manitoba Battery is your local option where you'll find the best in batteries for literally everything at the lowest prices in town, period, along with the best in customer service. So pop by and see them on Logan Avenue or Dovercourt Drive out in the south end of the city. And if you can't make it down, you can give them a call or order online at manitobabattery.com, and they can deliver those batteries to you anywhere inside the perimeter of Winnipeg. For all your battery needs, save time, save money, shop local at Manitoba Battery with 2 locations to serve you. And folks, if you have a move coming up the rest of the summer, fall, or even into winter, you're going to need to check in with our friends over at Rowley's Transfer. Family owned and operated for over 60 years and the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. If you check out their website at rowleys.com, up at the top corner, you can click on Request an Estimate. If you've got a move coming up, hit that, and then make sure to put in the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies. Then simply let them know when and where you're planning on moving, what needs to be moved, and the friendly staff at Rowley's will turn around quickly with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment and service that they've been famous for now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, make it Rowley's Transfer, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more today online at rowleys.com. All right, gang, let's get into our Travel Manitoba segment for this week. And this is a great one. We talk a lot of golf in the summer on this show, and Manitoba is really synonymous with golf. We may not have the longest of golf seasons, but man, does this province show out. And there are so many incredible courses all around the province that, it's so much fun to do a day trip out somewhere, whether you're going to Clear Lake or Oak Island, Granite Hills, Grand Pines, Falcon. And it's more than just going out and playing the course. You can get out, hit some of the great roadside stops, grab a burger somewhere, other great things to do around. And this weekend is the biggest week in golf in Manitoba because the PGA Tour Americas is here at Elmhurst, just outside the city, up 59, hosting players that we're going to be seeing on the PGA Tour very often. Now, coming up, we're going to hook up with Dave McMillan at Elmhurst with everything you need to know about going to attend the event. And we'll talk about maybe a few fun things you can do around a trip to Elmhurst this weekend to make the most of a day at the Manitoba Open. Let's head to Elmhurst now and welcome in Dave McMillan on our segment with Travel Manitoba. It's the biggest week of the year on the Manitoba golf calendar. The PGA Tour Americas Tour is here for the Manitoba Open, and it might be a great time to plan a day trip a little out of the city out to Elmhurst to see some up-and-coming stars in professional golf. Let's head out to Elmhurst right now, the home of the Open, and welcome in Dave McMillan, who is leading up an army of staff and volunteers getting ready to welcome golf fans from all over. Dave, how's it going?
It's great. It's a beautiful day out here at Elmhurst, and we have the official Pro-Am today. So we've got 41 teams going out with they play 4 amateurs and then a different pro from the tour for 9 holes each. So it's a great experience for them, and it's a gorgeous day out here. So it should be a great day.
One thing I know that both fans and the players alike are going to be treated to is an absolutely perfect golf course. The conditions this year have had so many golf courses in beautiful shape, but I know you and the staff there have been working very hard all year long leading up to this week to show off the best of Manitoba golf at Elmhurst.
Yeah, we've had this on the radar obviously now since this rotation was announced, and we were going to be the second year, and Breezy hosted last year. And so, yeah, we've had it on the radar for a while. So a lot of our planning, we typically do some renovations, keep our master plan of the golf course restoration moving forward. But we kind of shelved that last fall, just knowing that we had this event coming up. And so, yeah, it's certainly been on all of our minds for a while now.
Now, Dave, this is a huge event. And I mean, the Manitoba Open has incredible history. And I should shout out your brother, Robbie. What is it, 30 years since he made history winning this event as an amateur? One of the greatest moments in the history of golf in the province.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a long time ago. It was 30 or 32 years ago now that Rob won at Pine Ridge, and as a young junior, and was a huge story in Canadian golf at that time. And,
it's been wild to kind of see how the tours have changed and this event has changed. The one thing I think we can, and you will be offering golf fans making it out to see the tournament, is some of the highest level golfers we've seen here. I mean, year over year, the PGA Tour Americas continues to get stronger. And maybe you can speak to just some of the guys that have played right here in Manitoba in the last couple of years that we've seen out on PGA Tour, even winning events in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's the level of play is incredible. I played back in the 90s, and there was a bunch of Canadians in a traveling caravan moving across the country, and truck campers and so on. These guys are very polished. They're all they all look like they were kind of built in a lab. They're just young, strong, athletic guys that all hit the ball a mile. And so, yeah, the level of play is incredible. And these guys are literally, 8 rounds away from being on your TV set next week. Like Michael Brennan, who was the player of the year last year. People that watch golf would know he just won the PGA Tour event 2 weeks ago for his second win already. Last year on the Friday of the Manitoba Open, when they unfortunately were rained out, he came out to Elmhurst to play just to keep sharp, with one of our members. So, that's how close these guys are. And there's a few guys that are on the tour this year that, having the officials from the tour here for over a week now. I've pointed out a couple of guys that look like they certainly are in that caliber or can't miss sort of guys. So yeah, it's really neat to watch them go about their business, and I'm really excited, and our members are really excited to watch them play our golf course.
With Brennan, I mean, what a season he's had, with just the win a couple of weeks ago and really establishing himself as a threat every week. Johnny Kiefer a couple of years ago was in the final group at Southwood. And then, Tony Fina, who's always been a favorite of mine about 10 years ago or a little bit more. And then, of course, Mac Hughes, Nick Taylor. I think we can be rest assured that if you keep the program or the list of players playing this week at Elmhurst and take a look in 2 or 3 years, you're going to find a few guys on that FedEx Cup leaderboard playing in the PGA Tour playoffs right about now.
Yeah, absolutely. The last time we hosted a major event out here was, in 2014, we hosted the Canadian Men's Amateur. And, Derek Ingram, being heavily involved in that Golf Canada program. And, we look back at, we're just looking at certain holes and how they played during that event, from strokes over par and those sort of things. And we look through the names of that event, even, it was all like the Corey Connors and Taylor Pendress and Adam Svensons and Mackenzie Hughes and all the Canadians that are on the PGA Tour now played in 2014 here in that Canadian Am. So, I'm sure the people that get to be close to these players this week will remember their names and see a bunch of them be very successful in the near future. So it's kind of neat. It's neat to be around.
It is all getting going tomorrow. Listen, I want to get to all the details of what fans and people need to go to make a day of it and to head out to Elmhurst, maybe pop into some spots in and around. But, of course, it is the Manitoba Open. We always love to cheer for our own. Great news that, Braxton Kuntz, who has been, the top amateur for the last few years, turned pro, qualified on Monday. So he'll be playing in the event. But there's always a couple special Manitobans that have earned their way in. Tell us about the rest of the local contingent teeing it up with the stars of the PGA Tour Americas.
Yeah, there's two exemptions for Manitoba players. One goes to Golf Manitoba, and Golf Manitoba gives it to the person who won the Manitoba Amateur, which was Rory Neal. Rory's an incredible young player, talented guy, was a really high level hockey player that's kind of turned now to golf, and he's a great story. And then the other exemption is our PGA Manitoba Player of the Year last year, which just happens to be my son Ryan, and he's the assistant professional here at Elmhurst. So he grew up playing here. He's worked here since he was 14 years old. He's turning into a great young pro, and it's really exciting for him to be able to get to play not only in this event, which he got to play in a couple of years ago. He Monday qualified at Southwood, but to play here as an exempt player at his home course is pretty special.
I got to tell you, I mean, we always talk about a little bit of home course advantage. This is going to be, what an opportunity for him. And I got to say, family, the McMillan name is kind of synonymous with golf, and it has been for decades here in Manitoba. But take away your job there as a dad, this must be incredibly exciting for you to see your son earn the way to tee it up against players of this quality.
Very exciting, and a very proud father. He's Ryan's a better guy and a better human than he is a golfer or a golf pro. So that makes me more proud. But he's a really good player. And
you might look like the top-ranked player on the tour with the galleries. I'm sure that'll be out supporting him over the course of the first couple of days of the event.
Well, I think we'll have a lot of Elmhurst members out there, and I think we'll have now a lot of Breezy Bend members out there now that Braxton's in the field. So we were really pushing to try and get Braxton an exemption. With his pedigree as a 4-time Manitoba amateur champ, but this tour is very PGA Tour regimented and regulated. Like, they are very tight they don't just give spots away. Like, there's because it's a good story, every spot is earned, and these players are all ranked by how they've played this year, and there's no like, hey, let's get this guy in because he's a good story or a good guy. It's all certainly formulated. So
Well,
we're extremely happy that Braxton got in.
Know that there'll be a lot of people pulling for the Manitobans in the event. Now, Dave, let's get to what people need to know if they want to come out and see the best golf in the province this weekend and this week at Elmhurst. Of course, it's a 4-day event, beginning on Thursday, culminating on Sunday, as tournaments do. Very affordable. I mean, $10 to get in for a day pass. You can get, I believe, all 4 days for $30. Fill us in first of all on how people get tickets. And then we'll get to getting to the course. It's a little different. I mean, there's a lot of people there. It's not quite like showing up to Elmhurst for a regular round.
Yeah, for sure. The tickets you can buy on the Manitoba.com website. 100% of the proceeds of the ticket sales are going to the True North Youth Foundation. So that was something we decided to do as a club. So True North is on site all week. They have a bunch of QR codes all over the golf course. There's a huge 50-50 draw for anyone that wants to get in it. Manitobans all love a good 50-50. So, so that's basically, when you're thinking of buying a ticket, none of the money's going to the event, the tournament. It's all going to the charity. So, that's something our board and membership decided we wanted to do. But as far as getting here, there's going to be general admission parking, and volunteer parking is going to be, you'll just go past the entrance of Elmhurst, turn as if you're going to Pine Ridge Golf Club down Pine Ridge Road, and then about 100 yards past the entrance to Pine Ridge, there's a huge parking lot there. And then the general admission area is going to be our maintenance entrance, which will be right beside the 18th tee of the tournament, which is our 9th tee. Normally they reverse the 9s for the tournament for spectator reasons. And so it's really easy to get to. It's the parking is fairly close. There's no shuttles required. It's just park and walk in. So it's not like some events where they're short on parking. You have to go park in a mall and take a shuttle bus in, and you'll be able to just park your car and walk in. So it's pretty convenient.
Now, I mean, there will be people that will want to get there early and spend a long day out at the course. Obviously, there is food, concession, beverages, and whatnot. I guess you guys have done a big tent for this event.
Well, I mean, anyone that's played at Elmhurst, we have there's an area in the middle of the golf course. We call it our crossroads, that you go by a bunch of times. You'll pass the concession stand 3 times during your round. So that's going to be kind of the hub of where the concessions will be. We'll also have something up, seating areas and beverage areas near the first and 10th tee. But there'll be no shortage of good food, and we kind of pride ourselves here in the food we make, and there'll be no shortage of that for the event.
Good stuff. Dave McMillan of Elmhurst is joining us as we get ready for tee off tomorrow and throughout the weekend at Elmhurst for the Manitoba Open on the PGA Tour Americas. Now, this is one of those events, Dave, that brings in golf fans from all over. I mean, you'll have people from the west part of the province, from the north. We'll have I'm sure some fans coming in from the States, and even some people that live in the city that haven't gotten out Elmhurst way. Let me ask you this. If I'm planning a day trip out there, say I want to, I'm going to hit you with a few things. I want to come in and grab a good breakfast somewhere in the area or on the way before I show up and walk the course for 4 or 5 hours. Where should I be hitting?
Well, we're pretty close. If you drive down past where the parking is, and then a few minutes from there, there's a place called Pine Ridge Hollow, and they do they have a great restaurant and a bunch of shops and farmers market type shops and those sort of things. It's a great spot. The Legion on the perimeter. They do a great breakfast if you're stopping for breakfast on the way. But we'll have lots, breakfast sandwiches and to-go stuff on the golf course. If you want to just get on the golf course and start watching golf, there'll be no shortage of opportunity to grab some food while you're watching as well. So
of course, Pine Ridge Hollow, nice and close, and a really, really interesting spot. If you're
that's a great place.
Checking that out, you can go to pineridgehollow.com. Now, if you got there really early, and you've been walking, it's getting a little hot, it's 1:30 or 2, and you're done for the day, you're actually not too far away from Birds Hill as well. And maybe you can get to cool down in the park, up in the lake too.
We're anyone that's driven to Birds Hill or out that way. You turn on Garvin Road to get to Elmhurst and to Pine Ridge Golf Club. But if you keep going straight, you'll be at Birds Hill Park in no time. So
yeah, bring your trunks and your and a towel. Toss them in the car. You might need it later on. And one of the things, and I'm sure you've done this for. I mean, it's always a great conversation. So you're done. You want to grab a burger, a hot dog, not too far away from 44. You turn into Lockport. Are you a Half Moon guy? Are you a Skinner's guy? A Sonia stand? I mean, so many great options out there around the river.
You know what? I'm a Half Moon guy, but I mean, a lot of times it's too busy, and the Sonias and the Skinners are the food is equally as good. It's just we like taking our little dog and parking in behind Half Moon and having a hot dog and having the little guy with us. So
I mean, there's plenty of options in and around, but you'll be well taken care of at Elmhurst for golf fans that are going in for the Manitoba Open this week. It is manitobaopen.com. Elmhurst, Thursday to Sunday. Dave, just before we go, I when I have people on, we talk about these sort of events. I know how much work goes into it. Just a few words about the volunteers here in Manitoba that have helped you put this on, the support of the membership of Elmhurst, and the amount of people that work in to put on a great show and open the doors to the club to golf fans from around the province and beyond.
Yeah, I can't say enough about the my members here at Elmhurst and how they've supported this. We had over 180 volunteers sign up. Majority of those would be members of the club. And we had some people that have been committed to this as volunteer chairs and chairs of committees, and my co-tournament director Matt Lorenz, him and I have basically they used to have a tournament director that traveled with this event, and that was sort of the goal of it, and that didn't happen this year. So Matt and I have kind of carried the load of being the tournament directors and dealing with all things tour and everything that transpires with that, as far as acquiring sponsorship and putting together every detail of the event. So thankfully we've had incredible volunteers, and our members are behind it. So it's been a good experience. And I always say these type of things really bring your membership together. When you're working for a common goal, it's great for member camaraderie and member pride. And our members are very proud of this property and this club and the golf course we have. And we're really looking forward to showing it off.
Well, I think it's going to be a real proud week for Manitoba. It always is. But it's been a while since Elmhurst has been showing off like this. I know the course is ready. The players on this tour are ready to put on a show. And I know local fans will be pulling for Rory, Ryan, and Braxton. Hopefully we can see some of those Manitobans playing on the weekend. And one thing that I think you can guarantee is if you make it out to Elmhurst, you're going to see some incredible golf and have a great time watching the best in golf in the province each and every year at the Manitoba Open. Dave McMillan, appreciate you folks. Get all the information spectator-wise, manitobaopen.com, and get out there Thursday, Friday, and on the weekend for the Manitoba Open for the best that this province has to offer in golf. Dave, all the best. Good luck this weekend to you and everyone making it happen for such a great event.
Thanks, Huss. We really appreciate the time, and we appreciate what you do for everything in Manitoba. Appreciate you.
Thanks so much, Dave. All the best. We'll see you at the course this weekend.
Very good, sir. Thank you.
Well, Friday night, Princess Auto Stadium is going to be the place to be as the Bombers looking to get back in the win column against the Ottawa Redblacks. 7 days a week, though, the place to be is the brand new Princess Auto at 500 Panet Road. Of course, Princess Auto founded and headquartered right here in Winnipeg, and now coast to coast across the country now has opened their flagship store, 105,000 square feet at 500 Panet Road. And if you haven't been in there, book off a little bit of time and check it out. Make sure to check out the shop where you've got all the tools there. You can learn them, free classes with Reed Carruthers and his great staff there. Obviously, an expanded stock of literally everything, including hunting, fishing, camping, and even a spot where you can try out archery equipment and crossbows and whatnot. Oh, and don't forget, come hungry. Breakfast sandwiches, incredible smash burgers. It is a new shopping experience that Winnipeg's never seen before. 500 Panet Road at the brand new Princess Auto. And of course, you can check them out online at princessauto.com. Our friend at Chud's Power Sports up in Gimli have had one heck of a summer, and that's not a new thing. They've been doing it for 80 years as the preeminent power sports superstore in Manitoba. If you are looking for new or used motorcycles, ATVs, side-by-sides, golf carts, boats and outboard motors, or recreational vehicles, Chud's Power Sports is your number one spot for that. So head on up to Gimli at the corner of Highway 8 and 231. Check in with the Derminator and our friends out at Chud's. They'll take very good care of you. And even if summer's winding down for you and you're already looking around to the corner to the snow flying, great 2027 promos and deals on snow machines as well coming up. And it's all waiting for you at Chud's Power Sports, Manitoba's power sports superstore for over 80 years up in Gimli. You can start shopping today and get those ideas going online at chudspowersports.com. Been a great summer for our friends at St. Vital Dental Center. Saw Dr. Terry on the weekend getting out of town, but it's back to work for he and his team as everyone gets ready for the school year. St. Vital Dental Center has been serving generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans. So if you are looking for a long-term home for you and your family at one of the top dental clinics, make it St. Vital Dental Center. Beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's Road with convenient free parking right behind the building. And St. Vital Dental Center is where you'll get everything taken care of in one spot, from things like cleanings and checkups to dental surgeries and dental implants. They do it all. So for all your dental needs, hit them up online at St. Vital Dental Center. Make an appointment, and when you pop in, tell them the boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. Wow, what a sports weekend we've got coming up. Big weekend in the Canadian Football League. Jays are still grinding, trying to hang in there. We've got the CEBL Championship Series, and of course, NFL right around the corner, which means get ready to spend some time at your local Boston Pizza. No better place to get together with your gang for the big game than your local BP and enjoy ice-cold schooners, world-famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas, and more, and all the great vibe of Boston Pizza lounges. If you're not at the games, the next best place to be is Boston Pizza. And don't forget, if you're staying at home, you can always get the great taste of BP by ordering online at bostonpizza.com. All right, Brandon Rewucki's coming up. Love the chat. Great, lot of love for Elmhurst in the chat. I would highly recommend getting out there. And you know, we were talking, and I actually put up a poll, just mentioning what I was talking with Dave with. You know, if you're at the end of the round at Elmhurst and you're heading out, and maybe you're just going to pop up to Lockport, where are you going? Like, that's the why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. You going to Half Moon? Are you going to Skinner's? Are you going to Sonia's Stand or elsewhere? We did find out, shout out to Mike Wynn, who mentioned a place called Jonesy's, which I was not familiar with, but it is in Birds Hill, I believe. And someone said they saw they actually do meals for the airplane for the Jets, as they've seen on their socials. So there's a few more ideas of some places to hit. I think Sonia's Stand is criminally underrated. What's going on right now? Half Moon has a slight lead on Skinner's. Sonia's Stand. Do not sleep on Sonia's Stand. Let's get Brandon Rewucki in here. Rude, do you have anything to add on that question that I just asked? If you're heading out to the Lockport area, there's, a bunch of great spots. Those three are the ones that really come to mind for me. Where there's no line anywhere. You've got a fat stack in your pocket. You're starving. You want a burger, a dog, fries, a shake. Where are you going?
Yeah, I know it's an excellent question. This is kind of my stomping grounds here. Shout out to Jonesy's as well, by the way, like high class establishment. Yeah, so if you're in the Birds Hill area, stop by.
Like, is it a bar restaurant or just kind of like a smaller restaurant that?
Yeah, I would say it's like kind of split up. Like there's the family restaurant side on one half, then like lounge, more of a loungy with some vilts on the other side. So Jonesy's top notch. But as far as Lockport goes, true ball knowers know that it's Sonia's and then it's everywhere else. So
I knew I could count on you. And as I say, I love it all. I mean, I kind of grew up with Skinner's hot dogs.
That's fair.
Half Moon last year. That was something. But the Sonia's was a revelation to me during the pandemic. Out of the hospital, I had nothing to do. Everything was closed. Like, I literally was just losing my mind in my place. So I just go driving. And you know how I found it? I was just on Henderson and I just kept going.
Yeah.
And you basically get to the end of the road. You pass the Half Moon. You're there. I'm like, I should check this out. And I'm a huge Sal's guy. Like, the cheese nip to me is one of the greats. Their burger is almost like a drive-in version of a cheese nip. And as I say, if you're out there, any of those places you will love. But you got 2 votes right here for Sonia Stan.
Yeah.
Just
it's funny, Huss. I was actually there like a week or 2 ago. And I've gotten my kids addicted to it, which is huge. But as I was walking up to pick my order, I hear somebody yell, "Rewucki!" And it was a WST listener, Tom, who's like, I saw the hair, I had an idea. Again, real ball knowers. They know WST, they know skates and plates, and they know Sonia's as far as the best, in my opinion, the best burger in Manitoba. But I'm biased. It's where I grew up. My first true burger love. So I can't quit it. I can't go anywhere else. But if you haven't been, I think it's a must visit. And then just absolutely douse the fries in vinegar, and then you're good to go for the day.
Shakes are awesome too, but as I say, you got great options out there. So if whether you're hitting the open and then popping by, going fishing, or just want to go for a nice drive on one of these days, beautiful spot, check out the river and all that, and you will not go home hungry. I want to just quickly touch on something, and I know there's some people talking about it on online in some of the Jets forums. So Proman came out with his, rankings of the pipeline, if you will. And again, these are all very arbitrary. They're rankings. I mean, everyone has different opinions. But, I mean, Proman, with the Athletic, a respected guy, has the Jets at 28th, I believe, is the list. And that includes Vigo Bjork, who is there's a new one today of the top under 23 NHLers, and they've got him at 21, like ahead of some guys that were drafted much higher than him right now. So I guess the question is to you, I mean, I don't know how much we want to put into one person's take on this, but it's quite clear that the Jets have a lot of work to do on this. But my question is, a lot of people, including the people making these lists, are high on Vigo Bjork. Do you feel that they're underselling some of the other players in the Jets organization and their potential? Or is this one of the areas, when you look at the big picture for the Winnipeg Jets, that whether it is through trades for prospects and picks, that we are going to see, and it's a necessity for the Winnipeg Jets to do a better job, potentially get more assets going into that pipeline, knowing that this team and this core is on the back nine?
Yeah, I do think they underrate some, but not enough to make it here's a top half of the league under 23 core.
Fair.
That's kind of I think the overall issue here. Could you move them up 2-3 spots, whatever it might be? Sure. I'm not going to argue too much about that, but I find it hard to believe that you could put them at 20. And so they're a bottom half of the league under 23 core. And I think they undervalue. I think a lot of people undervalue Salamonson, who I think he's listed as having third pair potential there. It's like I don't, you just haven't watched him play if that's your take, because he was second pair caliber last year alone. But I mean, like you said, they were so high on Bjork, like one of the best prospects in the NHL according to The Athletic, right? So you take him out of the equation, and you can see that there's just not a lot of maybe league-wide consensus in terms of people being high on the Jets prospect pool. So it's I don't know how else to say it other than it's alarming. Like, of course it is. And you look at some of the teams that are in and around the Jets, and there's some contending teams too, right? That find themselves higher than Winnipeg in these standings. So I don't know. Maybe it's a bit alarming to see how low they've shown up. But you ask most Jets fans, and I don't think anybody's going to come out here and say, yeah, the future of this team is shockingly bright right now. They're at a crossroads of, are we still trying to contend, or do we officially transition this to the future? And I think this just highlights the decision that they have to make here. And kind of like what I've touched on for a while now is choose a path, because right now this indecisive route can kind of put you back towards the back end, even if you don't want to find yourselves there. So it's concerning, no doubt about it, even with Bjork showing himself really well so far, even before he set foot on the NHL ice.
Yeah, like when I look at the guys that they've signed, that they have in the mix, like, Chibrikov, Parker Ford, I mean, those guys, might be serviceable NHL players, but, they're, listen, it'd be great if I was flat out wrong on this, but don't project to be, star players, top 6 guys in the league. The two guys that I do wonder if people are giving them enough, like if they're giving their potential enough credit, is the OHL guys that are turning pro this year in Kevin He and Kieran Walton. And Walton, for one, is so puzzling to me in that he went undrafted. The Jets picked him in, I'm pretty sure it was the 6th round. And I remember this just because we were interviewing him in Vegas very quickly as they were taking everything down, because everyone needed to be off the floor at 1:30 because there was something else going on in the Sphere that night. And they were basically doing a quick turnaround. But then you look at what he's done in the OHL over the last couple of years. And I mean, it's been, he led Sudbury 38 goals, 92 points. He had that massive season, and then last year split it between Sudbury and Peterborough. And he's huge. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, usually guys like that can score at a high level, that are bigger and high demand. And like, I'm not sure if there's one part of his game that just people think will not translate to the National Hockey League, but I've always been puzzled as how a guy that big with those sort of offensive numbers, that was driving his team, clearly the top guy, wasn't getting carried by someone else, has not, at least amongst those circles, been thought of as more of an NHL prospect.
Yeah, it's funny, the juxtaposition between the two. And I don't know if this is going to make sense when I say it, so bear with me. But if you ask me to bet who plays more NHL games, I'll say Kevin He. If you ask me who could potentially pop off and be a star, I think it's Kieran Walton. Walton, to me, is the ultimate boom or bust type prospect. And whether he succeeds or not at the NHL, that's the exact type of pick you should be making in rounds 5 and 6. Because if he hits, he's your Tage Thompson. But if he doesn't, you know what? Like, you gave it a shot, and it doesn't work out as it does for a lot of 5th rounders. I guess like why he isn't more positively reviewed across the NHL, my guess would be, I mean, the Tage Thompsons are pretty rare. It's difficult for 6'6" forwards. It's the inverse of being 5'8", 5'9". It's difficult to make an impact as a forward that tall. Like, there are very few guys that can find a way to do it. Part of it is, he's a good skater, but in terms of quickness, he's below average there. And then you just wonder a little bit about the processing speed. It's easy for a guy like that, I think, to dominate at the junior level because he has such a massive physical advantage over 95% of the league. But when you get a 6'4" guy that can skate like a 6-foot guy, it can be a little bit difficult for, that same level of superiority to translate over. So I would guess that's why. And I to be fair, I do kind of get that because, like I said, I feel like he is boomer bust, but man, if he hits, it's a grand slam off the top deck. But Kevin He, to me, I don't know if I see a top 6 guy there, but I'll be shocked, man, if he's not a bottom 6er for 7, 8, 9 years in the NHL. Like that motor, that compete level, he's got a great shot too. He's got enough offense. Like I think that's a guy that plays, and I think he plays in the NHL relatively soon. Like he hasn't looked out of place at prior training camps, and you give him another year or two with some seasoning, like he's going to be a player. But the problem is, like you alluded to, the Jets really don't have enough game breakers in their prospect group right now. They have a lot of guys that can fill out a roster, but it's Bjork, and then you're kind of hoping for a bit of a stratospheric leap from a Salomonson or a Boumediene, maybe Jaeger, but like, you know what I mean? You're kind of, you hope it happens, but it's tough to really rely on at that point.
Yeah, Jaeger might be not a guy that wows with like all-world numbers, but is probably the guy that's capable of playing up in the lineup, playing with better players. Let me ask you this. For this season, what would be what's the best case scenario in your opinion for Braden Jaeger this season? And let's include Colby Barlow, who, I mean, to me, probably less likely to be a regular. I mean, there's some big questions on his game. I think both of those guys, especially Barlow, have a lot on their plates this summer to come in and, prove first round value and, take that next step in their career. It kind of seems like everything we heard from the Jets, Jaeger is on that path despite the numbers that maybe weren't there last year, but still big question marks on Barlow, who really struggled for a good portion of last year before getting it going a little bit at the end of the season.
Yeah. Like I think Jaeger is a little bit easier, where it's like, to me, point per game AHL player, that's a massive win. He kind of looks to be, I think, at this point, a second, third line tweener down the middle. I think like he's got enough intangibles, enough hockey IQ, and then just enough skill that I'd be really, really shocked if he wasn't a third line center, over the course of his career. It's just going to be, can he do enough to become a number 2 guy? And so I think him just producing at a high end level at the AHL is a big win. I really don't consider it a big negative if he doesn't play NHL games this year. It's just dominate at the AHL level, and probably next season is when the NHL comes calling. With Barlow, it's a little bit different. Like I don't think we're going to see him. I don't think we're going to see him become even a point a game player at the AHL level. So what can he do to become an NHL guy? He picks up half a step. You'd like him to pick up a full step and then some, but like that was the one concern when they drafted him, was just like, is he going to be able to separate enough to give himself some space to get that shot off? Because he has an NHL level shot. Like his shot is high end. It's just he just isn't able to move enough to get it open. And there's a lot of guys that are in that path. Arthur Kaliev, I think, is another example, who lit it up in juniors for the U.S. at the World Juniors. And you get to another level and, you just don't have that same level of time and space. So, I think even just 20 to 30 goals in the AHL and whatever the point total ends up being, but it's like just to almost get a little bit of confidence back into his game. I think that would go a long way. And then we can assess whether or not he's going to be an NHL regular at that point, because I think that's ultimately best case scenario, is that he finds a way to crack your top 12 forwards at some point.
Okay, last one on the way out. Who plays more and scores more next year at the NHL level, Lambert or Isaac Rosén?
That's a good question. I don't know if as I'm stalling for time here, you can tell I'm not sure which way to go.
Who do you think has a more likelihood of spending more time in the top 6 if there's a spot open?
I'll go Lambert by a little bit. I mean, I did think he took a big step forward not even the second half, but the last 10, 15 games of last year.
Better in the NHL than he did in the AHL.
Yeah, and so some guys are like that. Like, it might be hard to wrap your head around, but some guys, so when the pace picks up a little bit, they're able to almost turn their brain off and go with the flow. They can react naturally, and they find a bit more success when there's a little more open space at the AHL level. Sometimes it can almost be like paralysis by analysis. But I thought we saw a lot more. We saw a lot more jam in his game. We saw a lot more of willingness to get into the corners, go towards the net. He was fearless with the puck on his stick. Like, he wasn't afraid, despite a relatively slight frame, to take a guy wide and drive it to the net. So there were promising signs, at least. Roseanne, you could say, maybe more scoring potential at the AHL level consistently, but it was a pretty lackluster debut with the Jets. It's understandable, but I would have liked to have seen a little more out of him.
Yeah. Bottom line on this conversation is that we need to be on this program when you're coming on in the 3rd week of September, in the 4th week of September, talking about, can you believe how good this guy's look?
Yeah.
He's now, because I mean, realistically for the Jets, short term and long term, a couple of these guys need to maybe be beyond what people are expecting them from right now. And listen, it happens all the time. This is the most of inexact sciences, drafting 18-year-old hockey players. But as you get in a year or two in, we've got a better idea about where these guys are. And I think the Jets are poised to maybe get some big wins on some later picks, some of the higher picks that really need to pop. But we got a high pick this year, the highest since Patrick Laine, and just waiting for Vigomania to take over the city when things get going. Rue, all the best, buddy. Have a good one. Take care of yourself, would you? Let's just stop injuring yourself doing random things.
I wish I could promise you that, but it's unlikely. You hit a kid with the Reggie Bush step back against Fresno State, and the knees can't handle that kind of torque anymore, Huss. So I'll at the very least I'll take it easy these next couple of weeks. Okay.
Right on, pal. Take it easy. Have a good one.
That's good.
All right. What a game last night it was for the Toronto Blue Jays to open up the series in the Trop. We're going to get to that with Josh Goldberg as WST continues. Hard to believe that hockey season is just about here, but if you head down to Royal Sports at 750 Pembina Highway, you'll know that it is. Royal Sports has been Manitoba's hockey superstore for over 50 years. And with players getting back into camps, training, and getting ready for training camps, the Royal Sports hockey department is a very busy place. For new players, they've got you covered from top to bottom, whether it's sticks, skates, equipment for goalies. Royal has it all. And the best part about it is they've got hockey players working in the hockey department to make sure they're getting you fitted properly and getting the right equipment for your level and need. It's not just hockey, though, of course. We've got everything coming from the summer. Huge selection of bikes and e-bikes, soccer, softball, baseball, tennis. And for your fan gears coming in, new NHL merch and new NFL merch coming by the week. It's all waiting for you at Royal Sports, Manitoba's sports superstore, 750 Pembina Highway. Give them a follow on Instagram for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. What a run and season it's been for our Winnipeg Goldeyes, who did not sweep the weekend. The incredible franchise record winning streak ended at 13. But it's time to start another one with a big week-long homestand beginning tomorrow night on Toonie Tuesday with all those great concession specials. The Goldeyes are right in it, taking a run at first place, and it's going to be an incredibly exciting final month of the season. So make sure to get out for some Goldeyes baseball this week, starting on Tuesday, right through Sunday. Goldeyes.com/tickets is where you're going to want to get your seats. Make sure to get them into your phone digitally so you can just walk right into the game and avoid lines. And you can go to goldeyes.com for more information on the remaining schedule as well as promo nights. We'll have Andrew Collier set up to see the homestand hopefully tomorrow on the program, but make plans to get out to the ballpark this week. Goldeyes are playing some great baseball, and there's nothing like Blue Cross Park in the summer. Speaking of the summer, there's still some time to get out and do some great things, folks. And if you are planning another adventure, make sure to start with Travel Manitoba. Whether you're searching for road trip inspiration, hidden gems, or the latest festivals and events, everything you need is waiting at travelmanitoba.com. Looking for ideas on the go? Follow along on social media at Travel Manitoba for real-time inspiration, local tips, and can't-miss experiences from across the province. Or if you want a personal touch, pop down to the Visitor Information Center at the Forks in Winnipeg. One of those great things to do in Manitoba during the summer is hit up Assiniboia Downs, and they are back with live racing tomorrow and Wednesday this week, 7:30 post time. Of course, that's free parking, free admission, and all the great times at Assiniboia Downs. They do also, a date to remember is August 24th. A couple Mondays from now, they'll be back at it with a special Monday night of live racing. It's the Monday Madness concession deals, and the Wiener Dogs are back. They were such a big hit earlier this year. So make a point of getting down to Assiniboia Downs, and if you do want to really do it up, make a reservation in the clubhouse dining room. Get on that prime rib buffet and enjoy the racing from the clubhouse dining room. But whether you're in the third level, on the grounds, in the dining room, there's nothing like a night at Assiniboia Downs. Huge win of the Trop last night for the Toronto Blue Jays to kick off this 3-game series against the AL East leading Rays. Let's bring in our pal Josh Goldberg for the latest on the Toronto Blue Jays. What's going on, Josh? Great to have you back on the show.
Yeah, good to see you as always, Huss.
Dude, since our last conversation, things have progressed quite nicely for the Blue Jays. Just thoughts on their play since the trade deadline and the way the team looks right now.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't on my bingo card with the way that this season has gone and the way that they've really played. And kudos to them. They didn't roll over. Let's call a spade a spade. The pitching has really been the kind of conductor of what's happened here. It was nice to see them break out and score 10 runs last night. So that was obviously good. They're going to need to do a lot more of that, I think, if they want to emerge from the pack here and lock down this wild card spot. But they're playing meaningful games in late August and into September. I did hear a stat that kind of made me chuckle last night, that they and every other team chasing that third wildcard spot would be 6 games out in the National League for the last playoff spot. So there is a fair bit of, I guess, good fortune that they happen to be having this season in a year where the American League as a whole has just been terrible. But you take what's given to you, and they've put themselves in a position here to play some important games and see if they can find a way to kind of claw their way back and salvage what has looked like a lost season for the most part.
You know what? Connor and I were talking yesterday, and we were getting all excited about this sort of resurgence, and Coolbet put up a plus 325 number on the Jays to make the playoffs. So we've now got this white knuckle ride for the next 5 to 6 weeks. And the way I look at it, and we were talking about this a little bit before, is that you've got the 3 division winners, division leaders in the Rays and the White Sox. And, the Astros aren't really far away. It's really the Rays and then everyone else. And then, frankly, the Yankees and the Red Sox in the AL East that are very comfortable in the wild card. But there's essentially now a new division in the AL, and it's the wild card division. And you've got Texas, who is in first place, Minnesota and Toronto a half game back, Cleveland and Baltimore 1 game back, Tigers 1.5 game back, and the Mariners, despite getting drubbed 22-0 yesterday by the Brewers, that was not, you don't get eliminated from the wild card division for being embarrassed like that. But essentially, we're talking about a 7-horse race for one spot with teams that are all basically right there. Like, I can't remember a race like this with only one spot available that had almost the rest of the American League battling for it.
Yeah, I think it's a good indicator of what this season has been for a lot of these teams in the American League as a whole. Outside of Detroit, all of those teams have pretty solidly negative run differentials, which is an indicator of, you know, not being a particularly good baseball team. But this is the hand that has been dealt this year, and we're in prime scoreboard watching mode. The Twins are a half game back. They're tied with the Jays. It was, I believe, 4-1, and Atlanta's tied it up 4-4. So it's nice to have that. And the crazy thing is, one of these teams gets to the playoffs and they have an easier draw. I think as of now, it would be they'd play the American League West or the American League Central potentially back-to-back. I think they wouldn't necessarily have to see the Rays and or the Yankees potentially until the ALCS. So it could line up relatively nicely for them. So it's just one of these crazy seasons where I just haven't really been able to get a handle on any of these teams, the Blue Jays included. So anything that happens here throughout the rest of the season down the stretch, I won't be that shocked by anything because it's just been one of those crazy seasons that is hard to explain.
Dude, you just mentioned run differential. I'm just looking at it right now, and the Jays actually have the worst run differential. They're minus 52.
Yeah.
But it's just a sea of red, 29, 25, 43, 42, 45 to the negative. And then there's Detroit. How the hell are the Detroit Tigers 5 games under 500 at a plus 82 run differential? I mean, that's 5 back of the Yankees, who were 15 games above 500.
Yeah, I think they had one really awful month. I think June they went 6-22, and their run differential obviously was horrible. Other than that, they've had a winning month basically every other month. August right now they're kind of hovering around 500, but you go 16 games under 500 in a month, one of the worst months in franchise history. That's enough to kind of dig yourself a hole that is hard to come back from. And you know, they lost some games late, some close games in those situations, and they've had a lot of blowout wins this year. And there's a ton of talent on that team. They could look back on it and say, well, what could have been if they didn't trade Tarek Skubal? I still think that was probably the right course of action. I have a hard time seeing this team, even with Tarek Skubal being a legitimate World Series contender, and he's not re-signing. So to turn it into a handful of quality prospects, I still think is the right cost of opportunity cost, I guess. But that's a hard sell for fans. But they're probably the one team that you could look at and say, well, they're certainly capable of getting hot and going on a run. They really did in July and to start August to get back into it. And it wouldn't be that shocking if they kind of continue somewhere along that trajectory and get this thing over the finish line and are the team that emerges from the pack, because over the course of the full body of games, they certainly look like the most complete quality baseball team out of the bunch.
Back to the Jays, and obviously put up 10 last night. We had our good friend, former TSN 1290 Hall of Famer, the sports rabbi, Matt Leibel, come on with us yesterday. And he sort of inadvertently blessed George Springer and said that Springer was going to be the guy that's going to have a big September and help them do it. And their Springer goes out with 3 hits, gets on base 4 times and doing it. But I've noticed that this team's played quite well and had good results since Vlad's been on the 7-game IL. Is it a coincidence that these innings aren't going to die on Vlad's bats right now and they're actually scoring a few more runs?
Uh maybe not. Maybe you could argue both ways. I think the fact that you don't have a hitter up in important spots who has not kind of passed the baton all season long and has kind of failed in those opportunities and in those moments. I think it's, may not be a coincidence that other guys are delivering in those spots. But even with all that being said, with or without Vladimir Guerrero Jr., for the majority of the season, there were very few hitters on the Blue Jays who were performing at a quality level. And then all of a sudden, Ernie Clement had 3 hits last night. You mentioned Springer. Bateman has had some moments. Kirk is red hot. Sanchez had an RBI double. It's still, on the whole, kind of choppy, but there are more, if you look at maybe over the last 7, 10, 15 games, something like that, there are more positive offensive numbers from some of these guys than there have been at other stretches or most stretches throughout the season. So you just have to hope that you can kind of stack some of those 5, 10, 15, 30 game stretches where guys are having those at the same time. And then you can put together some of these stretches where you're scoring at least 5 runs as a team, because their record when they score 5 or more runs in a game this season is really good. Unfortunately, I think it's less than 50 games so far this season where they've managed to score 5 runs. So that obviously has led to a lot of low scoring, close games. And in those games, anything can happen and your margin for error is basically non-existent.
Last night, they get that 6-0 lead, and then things get away a little bit in the 4th, and it's 6-3, and you're all of a sudden feeling, all right, here come the Rays. And then I turned over to watch a bit more of the fever and the tempo, and the next time I turned over, Okamoto is putting on the jacket. He's been phenomenal. He's carried them offensively at times. But the other guy that we haven't mentioned yet that I kind of feel has really turned the corner after a tough injury-plagued year is Alejandro Kirk. What have you seen of Kirk lately, and how much of a catalyst can Kirk be offensively to get this thing moving a little bit more in the right direction when they need it?
Oh, he can be the catalyst, I think, with the way that he can kind of control the strike zone with his approach and his bat-to-ball skills. You look at his numbers since the All-Star break, he's been the best catcher in Major League Baseball. So that is no small feat. He's producing, he's hitting way more line drives, keeping the ball off the ground. And that's when obviously he's at his best. And when he's at his best, is the type of hitter you want up when there are guys on base and in big moments. And he's delivered a lot. Obviously, he came a triple shy of the cycle last night, hit a real hard home run to left center field, and is certainly the type of hitter who could finish the remainder of the season hitting 340 from the All-Star break on. He's got that in him. And you look, his numbers are right back in line with where he was last year in terms of the average, the on base and the slugging percentage. He's been 15% better than league average on the year now at the plate. And that's obviously been propped up by what he's done since the All-Star break. But what have you done for me lately is all that matters for the Blue Jays. And he has certainly been one of the big drivers of any sort of semblance of offensive success that they've had of late.
I'm just looking at Kirk's numbers, and he has, in the last 2 weeks, like from 2 weeks ago Tuesday to today, has raised his average from 235 actually the next day on the Wednesday to 279.
Mm-hmm.
And that tells you, first of all, that he could move up that much, the fact that he didn't have enough ABs earlier because he was gone for so much, but also that he's getting hot at the right time. And, they're going to absolutely need him if they want to keep this thing moving on and getting into that top spot. Pitching's been good. Thoughts on Soriano so far in his first few weeks as a J?
It's probably been about what I would have expected. Maybe a bit more balls in play and less walks and maybe less strikeouts. But we saw it last night. He has the great equalizer when there are guys on base. He can get a ground ball and get himself out of trouble. And that is a huge skill to have. He's run one of the highest ground ball rates in Major League Baseball over the past couple of seasons. He gets a ton of downward movement, and guys obviously have a hard time kind of elevating that ball and launching it in the air, and that leads certainly to some ground balls. His stuff is really good. I think his raw stuff is that of a very, very good pitcher. It's just about now executing on a consistent basis where you can kind of mix and match the ability to get swings and misses and pile up strikeouts while also, inducing some soft contact and keeping guys off base with walks. Because I think that could be the biggest area where he could get himself into trouble. And it's where he historically has gotten himself into trouble. But we've seen it a little bit from Dylan Cease this year, where he's cut the walks down a little bit. So there is certainly some reason to believe that with the right adjustments and the right game plan and working on the things that you need to potentially mechanically, that the same thing can kind of happen for Jose Soriano, and he can reach another level in his development that he hasn't been able to get to so far as an Angel.
Speaking of Mr. Cease, there is the possibility we might get the incredibly juicy pitching matchup Friday night of the top two guys for the Cy Young. Schlittler on the Yankees, Cease for the Blue Jays. They're still undecided right now. What do you think is right now being decided? What are the pros and cons? As someone that has a Cease ticket for the Cy Young, I would love to see those two guys go head to head, because I think a big Jays win and a big performance by him might help in that category. But this is obviously a huge series. Just thoughts on these next couple games against the Rays, but then the final three of this 2-week gauntlet in the AL East against the Yankees, and what's at stake for the Jays?
Yeah, I think the Jays have put themselves in a nice spot through this stretch so far. There's still 5 games to go, so I think at the very least you'd like to get 2 more wins. I think that would be the low. If you could go 3-2 over the next 5 games, considering the way that the schedule looks, I guess, to finish August and then certainly in September, I still believe the case is that they don't have a team with a winning record from the end of the Yankees series until the end of the season. So they're certainly in a position, if they can close out this stretch on a high note, to be in a good spot heading down the last 5 weeks or so of the season, 4 or 5 weeks of the season, against some lesser opponents. But let's not forget that the Jays haven't been a particularly great team for the most part this season. So you might not necessarily want to count your chickens before they hatch type of situation here, because the Jays have shown at various points this season that they're not necessarily better than teams with similar or worse records than them. So you can't just hang your hat on the fact that the schedule, quote unquote, loosens up. You have to continue doing the things that have made you successful over the last couple of weeks, and certainly continue to perform at a better level like we saw last night at the plate. And I think if you're able to do that, you'll probably like what the results might hold down the stretch.
Josh, great stuff as always. Fill people in on what you're working on and where they can get all the content as we get into the stretch of the 162.
So I'll have a podcast up kind of teeing up the Yankee series, I think tomorrow, and then probably one after, kind of breaking it down. And then we're just going to try and pump out as much as we can, because the team is doing things that are worth being talked about. And I feel as though that's the best time to kind of flip on the mic and talk about them. So I'm always happy to do that.
Yeah, well, listen, it's at DFA_pod on X, at JGoldberg12. And it's the DFA pod for everything you need to know on the Toronto Blue Jays. Enjoy this week. It's been a lot of fun. People, tell you what, the very dormant Blue Jays fans seem to be a lot more chipper in the chat these days. So hopefully they can keep it going and give us a real fun ride through September. Josh, all the best. We'll talk soon. Thanks for doing this as always.
Anytime. Happy to do it, Huss. Talk to you soon.
Great stuff. All right. There's Josh Goldberg. Pat's going to jump on in just a moment as WST continues. The mod himself, P. Greggy, next. I saw our pal Doug Brown making the most of the bye week on the weekend. Doug was out at Aikens Lake pulling out some massive fish out of the water. There's still great catches to be had and great times this fishing season, but Aikens Lake is planning well into 2027 right now. If you're thinking about a corporate trip, a family trip, maybe something that you've been waiting to do for many years, booking is going well into 2027 right now. So if you're looking for a fly-in fishing experience where you can be on the water in just a couple hours from Winnipeg with world-class fishing and even more world-class hospitality, that is what the Aikens experience is all about. Check them out online at aikenslake.com or all their social channels at Aikens Lake for more information on remaining availability for 2026 and booking into 2027. Lots going on in the golf course these days. We had Mitchell Brennan run away with the PGA Tour event on the Wyndham, and now it's on to the playoffs. But I can tell you the Breezy Bend Golf Report for this weekend is that Breezy Bend is absolutely mint and immaculate. Got a chance to play there on the weekend, just had a great time with some friends, and holy smokes, is the course in great shape. I think many of our courses are, but we're seeing now, some of the new greens that they built over the last couple of years, the course improvements really starting to take hold and take shape. If you are thinking about a great long-term home for you and your family at one of Winnipeg's top private courses, check out breezybend.ca or give our pal Corey Johnson a call at 895-7205 for more information on Breezy Bend for 2027. All right, we'll continue the show, but first up, let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, it's time to welcome in the mod father himself, Mr. Pat Gregoire from Coolbet. The mod father and Mr. WNBA. What a combo.
What a combo. The combo everyone's talking about in the chat. Before the show even started, I gave everyone a warning. I said, the mod star is here. You better be on your best behavior. Still haven't used my timeout yet. I haven't done anything yet. The power feels strong in my hands, and in all honesty, what started as a joke as P. Greggy for mod has come to fruition. Thank you to Connor. Remo would have never done this, so what a day, what an honor.
Just a heads up, Pat, you can't ban anyone who says Highmark Stadium sucks. You can't do that. You can't.
Yeah, so this Bill's propaganda.
That would probably be a lot of that, and same with the nickel gray jerseys as well.
Yes.
Needless to say, being in the PR department, which I actually know a couple of people who work in the marketing and media department for Pagula Sports Entertainment, must have just been a nightmare the last couple of weeks between the stadium, and those god awful Boise State jerseys, which they've become.
Just imagine being the poor receptionist and knowing Buffalo. It's probably some sweet lady that's worked there for 40 years. Just getting hello, Buffalo Bills. Can I help you? All the feedback on those seats. Stadium did look sick, though. I actually watched the replay of that game or some of it on NFL Network. And listen, we're always going to hear, and listen, it was not perfect, obviously, but overall, I think it's going to be a pretty sick spot. Unfortunately, it's now priced like LA, which not sure how long that's going to be able to work in Buffalo, but it is. Hey, on the NFL note, just before we kind of roll into this, we won't really be talking NFL right now, but tomorrow morning we are all in.
Oh, yeah.
It's the NFL Futures Extravaganza. Myself, Jake, Pat, Connor, 10 a.m. And we're going to be hitting win totals. We're going to be hitting divisions. We're going to be hitting props, hitting awards. So join us. It's going to be, honestly, Pat, now that I think about it, I mean, maybe my favorite individual show of the year, jumping on some of those NFL props. And we've had some beauties over the last few years. So I got one draft tonight. It's a simple snake draft. I'm going to be in the lab. And at 10 a.m. tomorrow, we are going to unleash our favorites in the futures tabs at CoolBet for the upcoming NFL season with the boys.
Yeah, it's a 1A, 1B for me. I think my favorite show is that one, but the Masters show is also as one of my favorite ones as well, kicking that off. But yes, you always get to break out the green jacket. But this NFL season, I don't know if it's just because we didn't have your Kansas City Chiefs finally win a championship or even get to the Super Bowl for that matter. And it was, maybe an unexpected Super Bowl. The way how it finished, some of the headlines that we've seen coming out of camp, like this for me feels like truly an NFL season that you could tell me a couple of Super Bowl situations or a few, maybe 5-6 different candidates for MVP or whatever it may be, and I would believe you. Like, I feel like this is probably some of the most parity that we've seen in the NFL, with maybe the first half of the league. There are still some really, really crappy teams, don't get me wrong, but I feel like there is a real feeling that the door is open for a lot of divisions, for a lot of conference winners, and of course, obviously that follows up with some props as well. I just feel like this is a season that I don't know if many people have quite a pulse on predicting things as maybe they have in years past.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the Rams, and then it's as wide open an odds board. I mean, with everyone at 10-1 or more outside of LA, and a group of about 30% of the league within, in the teens. So we're all over that tomorrow. Join us at 10 a.m. Join us in the chat, and of course, we'll be taking it all from the NFL Futures tab, which is a very busy spot right now at coolbet.com. We've been talking a lot of Jays today. Off the top, we just had Josh Goldberg on with his thoughts. What a start to the series last night, Patty. We talked about it yesterday. I didn't have the stones to back the Jays last night, and thought that, frankly, based on, the history, the teams that are playing, I thought the Rays at -137, not that I was going to go against the Jays, but probably would have been something that was on a lot of cards. This is a great start for the second week in a row in the third massive AL East series in a row, which brings us to this evening, a 5:40 start Winnipeg time, and the Jays are a big, big underdog because, of course, it's Drew Rasmussen who has been awesome. But we said the exact same thing about Martinez yesterday.
Yeah,
going up against Max Scherzer. It was great to get the start against the Red Sox, and then they did it again, and then they did it again. What are your thoughts on the Jays with a big upset with Mad Max? Could we be seeing a big one today? Because I'll tell you what, at +167, the way the bats were popping last night, it's pretty tempting.
It's very tempting. It's incredibly tempting, and I get it. The boogeyman that is the Trop has been just a house of horrors for this Blue Jays team. But yesterday they go in and you mentioned it. The bats are hot. Soriano pitches just a gem of a start, just a ground ball machine. Certainly not ideal if you had his over on his strikeouts, which Jake and I had in one of our bet builders, but that's a conversation for another day. But they just have found ways. And, Vladdy now on the shelf for 7 days. This team hasn't missed a beat. And, Alejandro Kirk's bat is just on absolute fire. Had him for a home run yesterday. Brett Bateman has been such a nice add. Jimenez his bat has been hot. Okamoto's starting to heat back up. Look what Clement was able to do yesterday. Like he's
heating up.
He's heating up. He's getting back to where we know and love him. So it just seems like these bats finally are all starting to heat up at the same time, because let's be honest, I think I said this maybe 2-3 weeks ago, that if this Blue Jays team had half decent league average hitting, we'd be talking about them being in a race for the division, not just a race for this playoffs. And it's exciting. And, you know, does the pitching matchup scare me? Absolutely it does. Scherzer obviously is a guy that has shown that, you know, when he's got his stuff, or even when he doesn't exactly have his stuff, he's going to battle for you. He's going to grind it out. And, you know, they don't need a big outing from him, but they just need a little bit of his stuff. But like, if you look over this stretch, Huss, like, look at all the other pitchers that they've taken down. Look at who they have gone through. It's been a gauntlet. So does Drew Rasmussen scare me a little bit? For sure. But this Blue Jays team has handled business in front of them. I don't think it matters who's on the bump. If the bats are going, the team's feeling confident, I think they can get this done. And at a plus 176, it certainly is tempting, to say the least.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm going to think long and hard about jumping on that. You know, we do have Gold Eyes, by the way, won again for us last night at minus 119. They're actually a slight underdog tonight at minus 111. Something for you fish fans to think about. They've just owned Sioux Falls in the last couple of weeks. So pretty nice number on the fish. I'm thinking about a little bit of a special 3-gamer. So I'll figure this out. Big golf weekend, though. And listen, before we get into the playoffs, it's Brook time in Edmonton.
Yes, it is.
The CPKC Women's Open comes north of the border. It's the Canadian Open. Brooke Henderson, your defending champ. And Miss Henderson, a lovely, God-fearing young woman, just got engaged. It seems like she is in the happiest place that she could be. I think that's helped her with her season this year. And Pat, let's look at what she's done this year. She's got 3 top 10s, all in majors. Brooke Henderson is one of the proudest Canadians of all of our athletes that represent our country around the world. This is a major for her, maybe even bigger than the majors, to be perfectly honest. Brooke, 18-1 to win the tourney, 4-1 top 5, 2-1 to be in the top 10. I'm definitely going to get in on a little piece of Brooke Henderson this weekend up in Edmonton, because we know how much this event means to her. And we're seeing she's in a great place. The game's doing really well. Personally, I think she's over the moon with everything's happening off the course. Why not Brooke this week in Edmonton for another Canadian championship?
Listen, 18-1 under our regular odds, but if you go to the Canada's specials and the exclusives, we've actually got 2, because it is a big week in Canadian golf. We've got also the Rogers Charity Classic, but Brooke Henderson to win the CPKC Open, the Canadian Open, 30-1.
What?
Biggest and best number you will find in Canada. That's the super boost there. We've also got Stephen Ames to win the Rogers Charity Classic, which is the senior tour event as well. Not exactly sure where they are for that one this year, but I would 100% be hopping in on Brooke Henderson. And funny you do mention that as well, because at top 10 at plus 200 is staring at me in the face. You mentioned it. And when it comes to her game week by week, you know, it's hit and miss. But when it comes to majors and when it comes to big time events, this is an event that she would get up for. Like you said, this is probably more important or just as important as some of the others. It seems when a major rolls around or this event rolls around, it doesn't matter what her recent form has been, even though it has been good. So at plus 200 to get her just to finish inside the top 10, where a lot of these tournaments, and not to poo-poo on women's golf, but if you look at the leaderboard, it's usually of 15 of the exact same golfers rotating those spots within the top 10s, right? So I think Henderson's going to be right there. I don't think the pressure is going to get to her. In fact, the pressure is only going to crank things up. And if you want a little bit of insurance, take her for a top 10.
Hey, and you know, those are in the exclusive tabs, If you go way down towards the end of the combo cards, because there's so many up right now, there's one called Canadian Cooking, and it is Stephen Ames to win the senior and Brooke Henderson to win the women's open. And it's 905 to 1. Last night, actually, when I caught it, it was 1,000 to 1. And I'm like, there's no way I cannot put a couple bucks on this at least.
Oh yeah.
So anyways, if you want the real big swing, like a $1, $2, $3 bet to go on that is up in the combo cards. And I'm so glad I brought that up because I had missed that I was literally about to go on the 18 to 1, and now we got a 30. So shout out to you guys for making that happen. Let's get to it. Scheffler has had such a weird season in that he won right off the bat at the Amex and has not won, but he's second every week. He's third. He's fourth. Overall, and I was surprised to hear this just because we haven't been talking about him winning tournaments. Statistically, it's his best season.
It's crazy.
He shows up when it's the best 70 and blows them away by, I think, 8 shots? I joked to the guys in the group chat that, wouldn't this be hilarious if Scotty, doesn't win a major and there's all these questions about, finishing and then shows up in the playoffs and goes 3 for 3. He's the defending champ. They are at a new course this year, but he's 3 to 1 in a field of the top 50 on the tour. Pat, huge gap. Then we get to Rory at 14. All the other numbers, frankly, look sort of inflated to me because the Scotty number is so low. How do we tackle this week?
There's a few ways, listen, that you can tackle it. You can take maybe someone who you think has the gumption, who can track down a Scotty and go toe to toe. I mean, you could also just plug your nose, take the 3 to 1, add your profit boost that you get weekly from CoolBet and go that way too. Probably a smart thing. I would even say bet it after round 1, but with the way that he's been playing, his odds are probably going to be the same, if not worse, if he's leading. So you could do a Rory, you could do a Hovland, who we've seen, who has been able to go toe to toe with him, a Xander. Or what you could do is scroll down to the bottom and place a winner without Scotty Scheffler market, which I think I'm electing to do as well. So some of the numbers that I have written down will be from the overall winner, but I would also look at the without Scotty because I think that's probably how I am going to play it. And my card Huss looks really similar to last week.
Okay, listen, fire away with your picks. I'm just going to, didn't realize that we had a without Scotty, so I'm going to pull that up.
It just launched this afternoon, so that's no problem at all.
I love it. Just go through it, whether it's with Scotty or without. Just let us know what those numbers are.
Sure. So I'm going to start with Hideki Matsuyama. This is like the 4th week in a row that I've bet him, and I'm going to bet him at 20. I believe it's 25 to 1 for with Scotty. Without Scotty, it's 21 to 1. So that's still actually a really, really good number. A win has to be coming here. It just simply has to. He's on an all-time heater, 4 consecutive top 10 finishes, top 7 finishes, and 6 straight inside the top 15. You can also get him 25 to 1 with Scotty or 25 to 1 for a first round leader, which after the way he started in round 1, and then what did he finish with? 6 birdies to get him right back into the mix. Like, this is crazy to say for a guy that's won a major, but this could be the best stretch we've seen from Hideki Matsuyama in his career. Wyndham Clark, again, a guy that, grinded his way into the top 5 this week at a course that really doesn't fit his game. But at Bell Riv is actually somewhere where I think he could really, really thrive. The with the Scotty number is at 28 to 1. Without, it's at plus 20. 23 to 1 looks like. So good number there as well. Have no problem betting that one. And then, like I said, very similar card. I talked about how that was going to be the case here. I'm going to continue these trends. And Victor Hovland, 28 to 1 with Scotty. Without him, he's at 22 to 1. Listen, didn't have the best weekend. I think it was back-to-back 72s after being in the mix. He dropped all the way to T19, but enough to cash our Greggy's golf special, which was absolutely huge. But this guy's striking the ball so well. Like he gained almost 4 strokes in approach play last week, and his chipping, his putting was fine. It just it was just blow up hole here, blow up hole there, a double here. That's what kind of prevented him from finishing within the top 10. But I talked about it last week, Huss. Like Hovland is a playoff golfer. That's where he saves his best. You mentioned it. I know the BMW wasn't here last year, but he finished T7. He won in 2023. And I mentioned it already. If you're going to play the with Scotty market, you got to bet someone who has the stones to go down the stretch and either hunt him down or fend him off and not crumble. Hovland is a guy that's already proved that this year. Let's not forget about the Travelers and that Monday morning playoff. The guy has already done it. So whether it's 28-1 or you get him at 22-1, that's how I'm playing it. My last bet for the card, and it should come as no surprise. I was just going to play this as a top 5 or a top 10. Sam Burns, plus 333 top 5, plus 125 top 10. I swore him off in the group chat. I said, I'm done with this guy.
No more outrights on Burns.
No more outrights. The guy is the best player on the planet from Thursday to Saturday, and then he turns into a pumpkin on Sunday. I just cannot do that. I can't bring it to me. And then the fine folks, the polar bears in the back, they fire out the without Scotty market. And now the fact that we have that, I mean, this is the perfect spot to bet Burns. So I will probably still play those placing odds, but him at 14-1 without Scotty market, like why is Schauffele ahead of him? And why is Oberg ahead of him? I understand Rory, but like
Oberg gets the third shortest number in this field.
Makes no
watch him
sense.
go and run away with the thing or something like that. I just do not get how everyone's so horny for Ludwig. Just based on, what he's done, the field that they're in. So it's crazy. So here, how about for Sunday Sweat Club? And we have been so close since that win these last couple weeks. Because it's such a short field, we can't really go T20s. Why don't we do this? Scotty is minus 149 for top 5.
Okay.
Why don't we go Scotty top 5 and then a couple guys for top 10? I know you had Hideki. I love Hideki. When we've been riding him through this hot streak for the last little bit. Matsuyama, his T10 is plus 155. And I got to tell you, I kind of like your Vic pick. And I mean, again, we're talking about a 50-person field. Like, Scotty seems to be inevitable. Who are the guys that are going to be up there? Both of those guys were playing good in the last round. I think their form's good coming in. They were going to want to be there, making things happen at East Lake for the Tour Championship.
How about this, Huss? Because this is looking very close to what I have for the Greggy Golf Specials, but different placings. I've got Scheffler, Clark, Hovland, and Matsuyama all to finish top 20, plus 347 up to 405. Actually, a really good number on that. We hyped up Brooke so much. Why don't we include Brooke in our combo card this week and go Scotty top 10, Brooke top 10, and then maybe throw either a Vic or a Decky in there, whichever one you prefer to round out that card.
Yeah, I guess I get who's got a Decky. I tell you what, why don't we go a top 10? We're going top 10s this week. Brooke, Scotty, Hideki.
Love it. I love it. Let's do that. I absolutely love that.
All right. That'll be Sunday Sweat Club. We'll get that up in the combo cards. And you can jump on that before they tee off tomorrow. And again, if you want a little piece of Brooke Henderson, spend all your time looking for a better number. You won't find it. Go to the exclusives. Up from 18-1. It's 30-1 for Brooke Henderson. And we're going to take her for a top 10 along with Matsuyama, her for a top 10 along with Matsuyama and Scheffler, and see what we get. Hopefully another, we certainly have been the Sunday Sweat Club the last couple, like 3 weeks. I mean, Jackson Koiven back-to-back weeks. And then Corey Connors didn't get it done last week, but credit to you. I did ride with you as many did on the Greggy Golf Special, and got a little off for Vic on the last couple holes, but he got the job done, got in there at T19, did the job. Onward and upwards for Mr. Hovland. Folks, don't forget to get your picks in for the CFL Pick'em, and join us tomorrow at 10 a.m. That is where you will hear the first details of the NFL Pick'em and the amazing prizes that are going to be in for this one as we take it up a couple notches from the CFL one that everyone is enjoying so much. Patty, get in that lab tonight. We've got a lot of work to do to get all these picks in for futures tomorrow at 10 a.m. with the fellas.
I can't wait. I'll be honest. I was watching a bit of lacrosse last night after the Blue Jays game and started to open up the page and started doing a little pre-scout. But tonight will be the big lab night. I'm going to get in the lab, get my picks going. We're going to have a great show tomorrow, get our picks in. And yeah, we'll give a little bit of a tease of what's going on for that pick'em contest. But Haas, I'll be honest, man, like I'm super stoked for this. The Jays has got me going, but at the end of the day, I can't stop thinking about Tallinn, Estonia, man. We're going to be over that part of the world very, very soon, my friend.
Well, that's part of the reason why we got to get all the futures picks in right now and get this stuff up, because it'll be the boys handling things. I'm looking forward to, you know what, you and Jake just jump in right at the end of the show back into the room, and we'll just confirm kind of what we're going to do. We'll have a little powwow with Connor as well. But all four of us, myself, Connor, Pat, and Jake, we're going to have our favorite preseason picks all there for you to chastise and laugh at later on this season. But there will be some good ones, I promise you. We've had a good run on that before.
Breaking news. The Sunday Sweat Club is already up, and it is a nice number. Plus 1019, up from 887. Whew! That is a juicy number.
Beautiful. It always seems to help if you get on those early, because I do find that odds change, lines move, and usually it's because people are jumping on it. So we're riding with it. Sunday Sweat Club, Brooke Henderson, Hideki, and Scotty Scheffler, all top 10s. Let's do it. Pat, looking forward to seeing you and Ricky Tiedemann too tomorrow at 10 a.m. here on the show. Have a great one. We'll talk in a bit.
The Mod Father signing off. Take care, boys.
Right on. There's Pat Gregoire joining us in the chat today. And yes, I am pumped. Connor, I know you're pumped. I mean, we're taking this. We're going to have the four of us going at it with picks all year long on the winners segments on Friday mornings, usually heading into the season.
Yes.
We're going to have the details on the NFL Pick'em, and I will just tease this. This is going to be great. And then on top of it all, we get to talk about all our favorite teams that we think are going to suck this year, our favorite players, and it's perfect time right with all of this fantasy football going on.
Yeah, I can trash talk all your guys' favorite teams, and you guys can trash talk the electrical substation haunting my 49ers right now. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. And yeah, the future is like, there's so many, right? Like I get lost just looking at the award winners, right? Like MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. Is Myles Garrett coming off the sack record season? Is he just a lock for Depoy again now that he's on the Rams, right? So a lot of great stuff. Looking forward to a full season of NFL content. And yeah, the Pick'em. I've never done a season-long Pick'em. So like for the NFL, that is. Obviously, I'm in the middle of the CFL one right now, but I'm pumped for that. It's going to be a blast.
No, it is going to be great. So big day tomorrow on the channel, 10 a.m. All four of us, we fired up here. Listen, before we run, let me get you some picks for ASD tonight. Another great night of live racing, which is going to get going at 7:30 p.m. It's free parking. It's free admission. And we got a few picks for you, folks. I had a good one last night. Hit one of my triactors for a 25-85 win. So it was nice. I'm not sure how Remus did, but hopefully I made some ground on him. For tonight, but a few winners to start it off. We're going to go with the favorite in race 1. We're going 5 on Rugged Rooster, number 3. Moving on, another win bet in race number 4. We're going to go $3 on number 7, Mr. Splash. And then in race number 5, we're going to go with a win bet on number 2, My Wife is Right. 2 more races to go. I like Freemaker, and I do kind of like, you know what? We're going to go with a trifecta for this race. Freemaker, which is number 3. Sam's Promise, which is number 2. And Gallant Oak is the other one. We're going to not include the favorite right now of Charming Charlie. So we're going 6, 3, and 9. That is the triactor play for today. And in the final race, let's go with, how about this one? Great name, Preacher's Secret. There you go. So we'll put a toonie on Preacher's Secret. So we got a few win bets. We'll see if we can, if that can come through. There is one scratch in that event. And should remind you all that we got Monday racing next week at the Downs. That is the day they've got all the $2 concessions, hot dogs, ice cream, great deals. We were there the last time, and the wiener dogs are back. So if you want a really fun night at the track and you can't make it tonight, next Monday, the 24th, will be a good one. And hey, it's always a great idea to make a real night out of it. Get in touch, get a booking at the Clubhouse Dining Room. Enjoy that prime rib buffet and have a great night at Assiniboia Downs. Connor, tonight we've got lots to prepare for. We got the show at 10 a.m. tomorrow, all our NFL picks, and then should be another fun one tomorrow on the program as we welcome in Ken as well as Mike at the Open. He'll be out
of heavy hitters.
We talked about that a little earlier on the show today.
Yes, that'll be great. And Mike, we were talking with him earlier in the week. Did he want to come on Monday or Tuesday? And he said he would be at the Manitoba Open. So yeah, it'll be great to have him on tomorrow to help tee that up. He'll be there. Great segment with Dave McMillan earlier talking about the course, which just looks in incredible shape. We showed some videos there. I'm sure. I mean, every golf course right now seems like it's in the best shape of the summer. And I'm fired up. And then Ken, of course, and can talk more Jets. I mean, there's pipeline rankings coming out. There's random. It's mid-August, right? The hockey topics are few and far between.
We're going to have to really squeeze the hockey talk out of him because he's just going to want to discuss hole by hole his performance at the tourney out in Clear Lake that he's at right now. So Ken and Mike tomorrow will be a great show. I do want to thank Dave McMillan, of course, our friends at Travel Manitoba, everyone at Elmhurst, wishing them all the best for the Manitoba Open, which begins tomorrow. It was also great having Brandon on, Josh Goldberg, as well as Pat Gregoire and Connor, of course, doing a great job today, making it all happen. Thanks again to all of our sponsors. Folks, join us tomorrow morning live at 10 a.m. for that NFL special, and then we'll be back live. Mike, Ken, and so much more, 1 p.m. on our usual spot for Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. That's going to do it for us. For Connor Hrabchak, I'm Andrew Paterson. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 and 1 live right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Oh, my God. Oh! Shut it down. Let's go home.
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.